morning, students. Today we are going to do this poem John Brown by Bob Dylan. Now, before we start with the poem, let's talk about the theme of the poem. The poem which we are going to study is very simple, right? Almost the entire poem is in the form of a dialogue between a mother and a son, right? So you see two people talking to each other throughout the poem. So there is a lot of use of dialogues in the poem. Then you will find few lines of the poem, they rhyme, but there is no particular rhyme scheme throughout the poem. So this poem doesn't have any rhyme scheme. So only few lines of the poem which will rhyme. The theme of the poem is anti-war, right? As I told in the introduction, it's an anti-war lyric. And it talks about the aura and the machismo which is associated with war. War has been glorified from several ages, right? Being a soldier has been considered as one of the greatest things, right? Fighting for your country, dying for your country has always been glorified, considered as something very great and something to be very proud of. Not only proud on yourself, but your family members, your country, the place to which you belong, your neighborhood, where people are proud of you if you are a soldier, right? So this poet, that is Bob Dylan, right? He has actually talked about war. He has referred to the poem is kind of ironical. He will go on praising war, but his meaning is not that, right? What is irony? Irony is when you say something and the meaning is the opposite of what you are saying. You mean the opposite of what you are saying. So through this conversation between a mother and a son, especially in the beginning of the poem, you will come to know that war is something to be very proud of. The poet has even referred to war as the good old-fashioned war, right? So at places he has repeated this line, good old-fashioned war. So that repetition is like kind of poem mocking at the glorification of war, right? So there is an ironical tone in the poem. Then the poet talks about the uselessness of war. The ending of the poem will talk about this, that realize later that they are nothing but cannon fodder. That soldiers are nothing but just the cannon fodder. They fight, they kill their lives, they kill people whom they don't know to satisfy the egos, ambitions of this great politicians. Right? The people who are in authority, the people who are in power, they have their own enmity. They want, their greed is never satisfied, and so who sacrifice their lives? The soldiers, and their families are the people who suffer. Either they are killed in war or they are crippled for the rest of their lives. Right? So the poet what actually wants to say is that you should not be, war is not something to be very proud of or to be glorified. It is a shameful thing. So let's start with the poem. John Brown went off to war to fight on a foreign shore. His mama sure was proud of him. He stood straight and tall in his uniform and all. His mama's face broke out in a grin. So this, his mama's straight face broke out in a grin. Mama sure was proud of him. What do these lines show? These lines, they tell that again, like any other normal human being who thinks war to be a great thing, and his son going to the battlefield and fighting war for the country was something to be very proud of for John Brown's mother, right? John Brown went off to war to fight on a foreign shore. So there was a war going on and John Brown was supposed to go. John Brown is a soldier now and was supposed to go to some foreign country to fight a war. His mama sure was proud of him. And the mother, like any other normal mother, she was very proud of her son and very happy that now his son is going to fight for his country. So this thought made her feel very proud. He stood straight and tall in his uniform and all. So he looked very handsome. He is about to leave the house and go to war. So he was ready to go to the battlefield. And so the way he was dressed, he looked very handsome and tall and straight in his uniform. His mama's face broke out all in a blur. And when his mother saw him dressed in a uniform, dressed like a soldier, the mother was very proud of her son and she admired her son. Right? So the admiration which he had for her son being a soldier, that brought a smile on the mother's face. Broke out in a grin means there was a wide smile on his mother's face because she took great pride in her son. Oh son, you look so fine. I'm glad you are a son of mine. So when she looked at her son dressed in the uniform, she said, oh son, you look so handsome. You look so good. All dressed up in the uniform. I'm glad you are a son of. I'm so happy to have given birth to a son like you. This thought makes me very happy that you are my child and you are a soldier. You are going to fight for your country. You make me proud to know you hold a gun. So I told you this idea of holding a gun and fighting and killing, all these things were unduly glorified, right? They were considered as something very great, associated with bravery and courage. So she says, you make me proud to know you hold a gun. So when I see you holding a gun, I feel really, really proud of you. Do what the captain says. Lots of medals you will get. Then this is the piece of advice which the mother gives to her son. Do please obey the instructions of your seniors. Right? Whatever the captains and your seniors, they instruct you, you should follow their orders. And then what will happen? Lots of medals you will get. As a result, you will get lots of medals. You will win lots of medals. And when you come back, we'll put them on the wall when you come. So when you are back home, when you come back home after the war, we will put these medals on the wall. Right? Mother was so happy. Right? She wanted her son to do good. She wanted her son to get lots of medals, which she can show off by hanging on the wall. Why do we keep these medals on at a place where people can see? Just to show off, bragging about all your glorious achievements. In what? Right? So the mother also wants to brag and boast about her son's bravery, and so she says that please obey the instructions of the captain and get a lot of medals so that we can put them on the wall when we come back home. As that old train pulled out, John's ma began to shout. So pulled out means as that train it pulled out, it means it left the platform and it went away with John Brown. So what happened as the son was leaving, John's ma began to shout, telling everyone in the neighborhood that my son that's about to go, he is a soldier now. She made well sure her neighbors understood. So see, this was the image of a soldier. Right? The mother, she couldn't stop herself from telling everyone that my son is a soldier, my son is going to fight a war. She started screaming, shouting, telling everyone, and she made sure that every single person in the neighborhood in that area knew that her son is a soldier and her son has gone to fight a war. Right? That's my son about to go, and he's a soldier now. So this thing that he's a soldier now made her feel very proud, and she went on bragging from one person to another about her son. She made well sure her neighbors understood. So she made sure that all her neighbors, they were aware of this fact that her son has become a soldier and her son has gone to the battlefield to fight a war. She got a letter once in a while and her face broke into a smile. And she showed them to the people from next door. And she bragged about her son with his uniform and gun, right? So once in a while, the son used to write letters, right? The letters, they didn't come quite often. So once in a blue moon, there was a letter from the son. And whenever she got a letter from her son, her face broke into a smile. She was very happy to receive the letters from her son. And then she went with that letter to the entire neighborhood, to every neighbor's house, and again started bragging about her son and his uniform and gun. Means how his son is doing in the battlefield, what all great things her son has accomplished in the battlefields, right? How is, see, because the normal civilian, a normal person like us, they don't know what actually is happening in the battlefield. We can only imagine, right? So the son used to write letters, and he must have written about the war in those letters and about how bravely they are fighting that war. So she went with that letter and told the details to the neighbors, right? That her son is so brave that he is fighting for his country in the battle. And these things you call a good old-fashioned. So the poet says that these are the things that you address as the good old-fashioned, right? And then he repeats the same line, oh good old-fashioned God. Repetition. Why has the poet repeated this line? To emphasize, right? To emphasize this idea, which was very prevalent during those times, that war is something very great, right? There was a lot of romanticization and glorification of war. So the poet is highlighting that it was the mentality of the people. The people in those days, either today also, they think war to be a great thing, and being a soldier was like ultimate, right? So this was the old-fashioned, old-school glorification of war. And that is why the poet has repeated this line to stress on this fact. He's kind of mocking this good old-fashioned war by repeating it, right? Because war cannot be good. Logically speaking, war cannot be good. Anything which kills, anything which is destructive to the humanity, it cannot be good, right? But again, people thought it that way, and so that is what the poet has actually mocked. This whole idea of war being considered as something good, great, and associated with bravery. Then the letters ceased to come. For a long time, they did not come. They ceased to come for about 10 months or more. So then what happened? Then the letters, they stopped coming from the son. They didn't come for a long time. For a long time, the mother didn't receive any single letter from the son. And for approximately 10 months or more. So 10 months is a long time, and the letters, they didn't come for 10 months. Then a letter finally came soon. And then after 10 months, she received the letter. And what was written in that letter? That was not by her son, that was for her son, right? Containing some news related to her son. What was mentioned in the letter? Then a letter finally came saying, go down and meet the train. Your sons are coming home from war. So this was written in that letter, that your son is returning home from war. So you please go to the railway station and receive your son. She smiled and went right down. She looked everywhere around, but she could not see her soldier's son inside. So she was so happy that now finally she'll meet her son after such a long time. She was very excited to meet her son, and so she just rushed to the railway station, looked here and there, tried to find her son, but she was not able to see her son. But as all people passed, she saw her son at last. When she did, she could hardly believe her eyes. But whenever a train reaches a platform, what happens? There is a lot of crowd. So she looked here and there, trying to find her son in that crowd. She failed. Then as the people they passed and there were lesser number of people in the at the platform, what happened? Then she was able to see her son. And the condition of her son, whatever she saw, she couldn't believe her eyes. So means that her son was badly wounded. All his face, oh, his face was all shot up and his hand was all blown out. So this was the condition of her son. You remember in the beginning how her son looked? He looked very handsome, very good, standing tall in the uniform of a soldier. And now what was his condition? His face was all shot up and his hands were all blown out. So he was completely wounded, very badly wounded, and there were a lot of injuries on his body, even his face. Right? Into a gunshot, his face was also shot and wounded. And his hand was all blown out. Right? So his hand was also blown out. Right? It was crippled, kind of crippled. And he wore a metal brace around his waist. And to support his spine, he was wearing a metal brace around his waist, a kind of thick metal belt he was wearing around his waist to support his spine, give support to his back. He whispered kind of slowly in a voice she did not hear. And because his face was all shot up, his face was badly wounded and destroyed. So the way he spoke, obviously he will not be able to speak properly. He whispered kind of slow. So he whispered something. He was not able to speak properly, and so he started talking in whispers in a voice she did not know. And the way he was talking, his mother didn't recognize his voice. Right? You are not able to, if your mouth is not okay or there are some injury on your face, you will not be able to speak in your original voice. So the same thing happened to John Brown also. She couldn't recognize his things. Right? She couldn't recognize her son's voice, and she couldn't recognize his face. Oh Lord, not even recognize his face. So this is the result of war. This is the consequence or the repercussion of war. This is what war does. Right? What the mother expected from war and what happened. She couldn't even recognize her son's face. Right? Because her son was not as handsome now as he was earlier when he was leaving for the war. He was very handsome. He looked very handsome, tall, dressed in the uniform of a soldier. But now her son was knocked down. He was a victim of war. Right? Now her son was nothing more. Now her son was not a soldier. In the beginning of the poem, her son was a soldier, but now he was just a victim of war. He was someone who actually faced the consequences of war. Oh, tell me, my darling son, pray tell me what they done. How is it you come to be this way? So now the mother saw the reality of war with her own eyes. Earlier, she had the notion that war was something very glorious, right? That is why she went here and there bragging about her son in a very proud manner, because she thought that war is something which glorifies, which is like very great. But now she came face to face with the reality of war. War actually kills, cripples, renders you handicapped for the rest of your life. Not only physical. Injuries are there. There are a lot of mental injuries, mental trauma. Even if you are saved in war, there are people who have never been normal. On seeing so many dead bodies and killing, burning, bloodshed, the war. So it not only has physical issues, it also leads to mental problems and mental traumas. Okay. So now the mother wants to know, because her idea of war has completely changed now, right? Now she has come face to face with the reality of war, right? So now this paragraph talks about the realism or the reality of war, right? So she says that, oh, tell me, my darling son, pray tell me. Pray tell me means I request you to please tell me what they done, what they have done to you, right? Look at your condition. What happened that you are in such a miserable condition? How it is you come to be this way? How is it that you are transformed so much? Right? How is it that you have been injured and wounded? So he tried his best to talk, but his mouth could hardly move. So there are two reasons for this line, that he tried his best to talk, but his mouth could hardly move. One reason would be that he was not able to speak because of physical injuries. Have we mentioned that his face was all wounded and destroyed? So that is why he was finding it difficult to speak. He was not able to speak properly in a normal manner. So this could be one reason. That is literally, it means that there were physical injuries, his physical condition didn't allow him to speak properly. And the second reason could be the mental trauma which he was in. See, if you have come across some very bad event in your life and somebody asks you and you have to narrate that incident, what happens while narrating also, you actually have to relive that incident. You will suffer that same amount of pain when you will narrate that incident to someone else. So he will have to imagine all that mental trauma, that mental pain, that mental suffering which he actually faced when he was in the battlefield. So that was another reason why he could hardly move his lips to speak. So metaphorically, he was in a state of mental shock and he was in a very disturbed state to speak. So these two reasons will be there for his inability to open his mouth and speak. One will be the physical injuries which he got in war, and the other reason will be his disturbed state of mind and mental trauma which he was going through. And the mother had to turn her face away. So, being a mother, she could not look at such a pathetic condition, right? This is what happens when you come face to face with reality all of a sudden. You find it difficult to believe. So, a mother had been living all her life with a particular idea about war. And now, all of a sudden, she came face to face with reality of war. So, it was very difficult for her to face it, to actually accept it, and so she turned her face away, right? Because she saw the condition of her son. She saw the condition of her son. Don't you remember, Mom, when I went off to war? You thought it was the best thing I could do. So then he recollects. This is a very sarcastic conversation between a son and a mother. So he says, don't you remember, Mom, when I went off to war, when I was going to fight a war? You thought it was the best thing I could do. Then you were of the opinion that this would be the best thing I could do. You were very proud of me. You went here and there bragging about my bravery. I was on the battlefield. You were home acting proud. You wasn't there standing in my shoes. You were not there in the battlefield fighting. I was there, right? I was fighting in the battlefield. What you were doing, you were just sitting at home and acting very proud, talking to people about your son's bravery, right? So being a mother, you were completely unaware of the reality of war. Because you have never faced a war, you have never seen, you have never been to the battleground. So yourself, you have only read about war, you have only heard about war, you only have the second-hand information about war, which is not true. So you thought it to be glorious, you were very proud of me, you went around the entire neighborhood bragging about me, bragging about your son's bravery. Why? Because you were not there in my shoes. Standing in my shoes. Standing in my shoes means in my situation. Because you were sitting at home, you were not there in the battlefield. So this is a sarcastical question which is asked by the son. Oh, and I thought when I was there, God, what am I doing here? So this is the moment of realization. This was the moment of realization for John. When he was there in the battlefield, when he was seeing people all around him being killed, so much of bloodshed he saw, people dying, the bodies crippled, limbs chopped off, people crying in pain, the burning dead bodies, the smell of burning dead bodies, so many gunshots being fired, cannonballs being fired here and there. So when he saw, then he was acquainted with the reality. And then he realized, what was the realization of John Brown? Oh, I thought when I was there. So when he was at home, he also thought war to be a very great thing. But when he was there in the battlefield, actually fighting the war, he thought, why I was there? Why am I here? Trying to kill someone or being killed in an attempt to kill someone. And I thought when I was there, God, what am I doing here? And he thought that why am I here? What am I doing? He realized the nature of his work which he was about to do. I am trying to kill somebody or die from. So this is what I am doing. I am actually killing another human being who is as much a human as I am. And I am killing him for none of his fault. In a war, it happens. The soldiers, they don't even know the name of the other person. They are seeing the other person for the first time. You are seeing the other person has actually not done any harm to you, and you are supposed to kill that other person standing in front of you. Just because there is war, just because there are warmongers who want to satisfy their own selfish intentions. I am trying to kill somebody or die from. So this is what I am doing. Then this realization dawned upon John Brown, and he thought that this is what I am doing standing here. Oh my God. But the thing that scared me most was when my enemy came close. So he got scared when his enemy came very close to me. And I saw that his face looked just like mine. Now there is a metaphorical relevance of this line. That his face looked just like mine. It means that he was as much a human. He was the person who was his enemy, was in a similar situation. He also didn't know me. I also didn't know him. The situation of both of us was the same. He was sent there as a puppet to fight for his country. I was sent there as a puppet to fight for my country. And either of us could be killed. Right? So when his enemy came very close to him, he realized that the person was not actually his enemy. The person who was standing in front of him was a human being who was very similar to him, who was just like John Brown. So this thought scared him, that he was killing the other person for no reason. Killing the other person who was as much a human as he himself was for no reason. Right? So what he realized was that both of them were actually the victims of war. They were just treated like puppets and sent to there in the battlefield to die by the warmongers without any kind of their personal enmity to each other. Oh Lord, just like mine. So that is why the poet has repeated this line, that his face looked just like mine. That means his situation was the same as mine. He was also a puppet. I was also a puppet. So John Brown says, and I could help but think, through the thunder rolling and stink. Stink means the smell of the burning dead bodies. The dead bodies, if you're lying there dead and they have caught fire, so they were stinking, the stink of burning flesh, right? So that was there. Thunder rolling means the sound of gunshots. So thunder rolling and stink. And this person, John Brown, was standing there, right? Completely lost in his thoughts among these gunshots being fired from everywhere and the smell of dead bodies, burning dead bodies. That I was just a puppet in the play. Then this was the moment of his realization, and he realized that he was just a puppet in the entire game, right? He was not the one who was actually doing anything. He was just being he was just being used by the people, by the other people who are in authority, by the warmongers, right? The people who wanted war for their own ambitions, for their own personal interest, right? So he was just being used as a puppet by these people. That I was just a puppet in the play. And through the roar and smoke, this string is finally through. And when he was standing there thinking about all these things, that he's just a puppet, he's being manipulated, he's being controlled and played upon by the warmongers. When all these thoughts were coming to his mind, when he was standing there lost in these thoughts, what happened? All of a sudden the string broke, right? And he was hit by a cannonball, and a cannonball blew my eyes. So a cannonball came towards him and hit on his face, right? Cannonball was fired at him and he was shot by it. As he turned away, so this was the entire narration which was given by John Brown to his mother, because his mother wanted to know how all this happened, right? What all happened that he was transformed into a crippled man like this. So he told him the entire thing, told her the entire story of what happened, what actually happened at the battlefield. And as he turned away to walk, his ma was still in shock. His mother was still in shock, right? Completely disillusioned. Till now, she considered war as something to be very glorious, right? Something as very respectable, something as which was very much honored, right, by the people. But now all his illusions, they were shattered, and she came in terms with reality, right? She realized the true repercussions of war. War was not about glory. War was something which leads to death, right? Makes people crippled throughout their life, and it brings sorrow. These are the repercussions of war, or the consequences of war. So the mother also realized, she also was acquainted with the reality of war, and that is why she was in a state of shock, because all his illusions were shattered. Right? At seeing the metal brace that helped him stand. So mother was looking at her son in a state of shock, looking at the metal brace which was supporting her son to stand up, right? With the help of which her son was able to stand up. But as he turned to go, he called his mother close and he dropped his medals down onto her. So as he turned to go, right, he stood up with difficulty because he was standing with the help of that metal brace. His spine was injured, his back was injured. So and as he got up and turned to go, he called his mother near him and told her and gave her the medals and dropped his medals into her hand. Now see, dropping of medals has a significance, right? Dropping of the medals means, you see, these medals were something which they desperately wanted in the beginning of the poem. You remember? The mother told her son that because you are going to fight, please obey the captains, please obey your seniors. And if you will obey your seniors, you will get a lot of medals which we will hang on the wall when you come back. But now he has got the medals and he had to pay a great price for getting those medals. right? The prize which he had to play was right in front of the mother. So he dropped those medals in his mother's hand because the mother wanted those medals. So he just called the mother near him and dropped those medals in her hand. Now this medals, they indicate the disgust, right? And by dropping those medals in the hands of his mother, John Brown is trying to communicate that he doesn't have to do anything with war. War is something disgusting. He wants himself to be separated from this violence. So it is like a parting from his medals, because these medals he got at the cost of his physical well-being, right? So that dropping of the medals, or that giving those medals in the mother's hand, parting away from those medals, getting separated from those medals, means that he is parting away from the life of a soldier, right? He doesn't want to live the life of a soldier any longer, and he is not in a condition also. So he is detaching himself from this war and all the glories which are associated with war. Right? So this, by dropping those medals, he is trying to make a strong statement against the theme of the strongest statement which is related to the theme of the poem, that is anti-war. Right? So that anti-war statement is being made by John Brown in the last line by dropping of the medals. It's like a separation party, right? Because he is trying to communicate to the readers that war is destructive, right? There is nothing good about war, and there's that because it is destructive, because it takes away life of humans or renders them crippled for the rest of their lives. So we should not take pride in war. Right? If there is nothing about war to be proud of. Killing your fellow humans is not something to be proud of. So with this, we come to the end of this poem. Thank you.